John here again. I got the Arctic Cat back here. Remember I put that track back on there a few weeks ago before we had that blizzard come by. You know, it was probably middle of the season or towards the end of it anyways. You know, I need a new track because the Arctic Cat track started, well, messing up. So I got a new track, put that in, everything was fine. But I didn't get everything buttoned up. And then this blizzard was coming, so decided to get that on the road because the Arctic Cat, I crashed that a week or two ago. I mean the Polaris, I crashed that and that ain't no good. So I was going to take this up to the Northwoods there in New Hampshire, and which I did. But I have a track fitment issue, and it kind of sucks because I bought the track, I called the company, you know, make sure everything was right. You know, you buy a 15-inch track, the pitch was right, I think it was like 292, whatever. All the numbers lined up, everything was perfect. And I did have a fitment issue. And even the website, I think it was sledtracks.com or something, said there may be some modifications. Well, in my opinion, there should be no modifications. You're buying a track for whatever, $700, it should fit with no modifications. But anyway, there was one, and I just wanted to go over right quick in case you run into this. This is a 2010 Z1 Turbo. I don't think the turbo matters, but that style sled there is from 2010. It's a 4-stroke. Again, I don't think that matters neither. You know, you know, I'm sure they made that track or that suspension. The original track, I believe, was a Camoplast as well. So I bought a Camoplast. Same lug height, same. All the numbers are the same, but it did have an issue. The axle wasn't long enough, and I'll show you right quick what I did to remedy it. Didn't work. It actually failed, but it wouldn't have failed if I was a proper welder, and I'll show you what I did. So, well, as you can see, the 2 feet of snow we got is just about gone. It's raining out. That sucks. So the snowmobile season done. Up there, up north where we go, New York, upstate New York, especially up top of New Hampshire. I'm sure they're going to be around for another week or two, but here it is, going to be April, I think next week, or maybe even tomorrow, I don't even know. But this is what I ran up against. That's the old track there, and I had some issues with that, so I changed it to this new track, which everything was fine. Like I said, it's a little bit of a monkey putting it in, but I got it in, and I didn't really button everything up because, like I said, I was using the Polaris, and I did crash that, so I needed to get, so I tried to tighten everything up, and it turns out this axle, this rear axle, is not long enough. And I'll try to explain as best I can right quick. First of all, I just bought a new axle for it, but even that is not going to work. I'll show you why. This is just a piece of the old track. This is a template of the new track, and as you can see here, it fits in fine. These center lugs there, everything's fine. I mean, there's you know, this template isn't exactly to scale. I mean, I just notched it out of aluminum, but as you can see, it's fine except for the outside lugs. The outside lugs on the new track is this piece here. The wheel used to ride here on the old track, you know, of the axle here. Here, probably better to show you this way. This is the way it was. You know, they fit in there fine, everything's fine, and as you can see here, it just rides on the inside of the old lug there, as you can see, but it hits the new lug, which is the aluminum, you know, it's the template there. So I'm like, how the hell can that be? You know, what are you supposed to do at that point? The outside wheels were, I just got a piece of round stock holding this contraption together just to show you, but the outside wheels were hitting the, it's bad lighting here, but you know, hitting these lugs, the outside lugs. Now the track is 15-inch track. There's nothing different except for these lugs here are about an 1/8 inch or maybe a little more longer this way, wider. Inside, everything matches up good. And I didn't bother to match it up when I put the track on, because why would you? You just bought a track that's supposed to fit that, you know, sled. So, but that was the dilemma right there. As you can see, the new lug is wider than the old lug. Now this is where my wheel needs to be although it could be a little closer, I just decided, because this is the length of the track, this whole metal template is 15 inches, just like, you know, the old track. It's the same width, the track. However, this end part here, on the old track, you see how much room you got here, you know, and the wheel rode around, right around here up close to this lug. And the new track, you have less space here, and you know, but you still have enough space to position this wheel wherever you want. This is my proposed track for the wheel here, and that'll clear everything. And that's what I did. Everything, you know, here's the problem I had. It worked fine for about 5 miles, and then the axle broke. That's my fault, because I chose to, instead of having a piece of axle, you know, and tooling it to the proper length, which you would need to drill a hole, tap it out, and the shit I got, there's no way I'm going to be able to center a hole, drill a hole, and tap it so you can get, you know, your bolts on the end. Again, this is just a piece of stock there with a collar on it, just the whole thing together. It's not the original axle. This is the original axle, and probably can't see. You know, it's tapped out. It's got the ends have for your bolts. Anyway, this axle is too small as well, but the reason I bought another one is because I'm going to have my friend do it. He's a fabricator, and he's got the proper machines and tools and everything. I measured, you know, I was going to do this myself, but this is 3/4 inch stock, you know, and this is I think 19 millimeter. So I couldn't have used this anyway. I don't know if, you know, there's play in this little. This is part of the same axle, just the whole thing's together. So even if I did attempt to drill a hole, you know, tap it out, drill a hole, it would have been too short anyway. The bearings on this, on these wheels, there would have been too much play, chatter, and, you know, so you couldn't use it anyway. So I elected to cut the old axle in half, right? Cut the old axle in half. This is just a spacer sleeve, and then add 1 inch, which will put my wheels here. So I basically cut the axle in half. Add 1 inch of this stuff, which I know is a little bit smaller, but you know, when I welded it up, I think I got a picture of that. I might pop in there, but everything was fine. But again, I'm just using a you know, fucking cheap. It also says dual MIG welder, but I just used the core part, the flux core. So it isn't like you know, I have a stick welder. Probably would have been a little bit better, but shit. Barely fucking MIG weld, let alone. Anyways, it did come out good. I ground everything down. The problem was I didn't have enough. You know, I should have rounded the ends of this more to get a V when the inch stock was added to it. So to get a deeper, you know, penetration in the weld. I don't know if you could see this, but where this weld broke, I mean, this part here is actually a, you know, the inch I added is right here. So this weld didn't break. It was the other side here, and you probably can't make it out, but this is a little bit thinner material. But it needs to be precise, because going through the wheel bearings, you know, you have to grind on all the weld and stuff. So I just didn't get it deep enough. And like I said, 5 miles in, the axle broke, the wheel. I mean, nothing literally happened. I just happened to be standing by the sled, and I saw the wheel was popped out, you know, beyond the track a little bit. I was like, oh shit. So I knew the axle broke. Now I'll take this apart and show you what I did, but these spacers, I forgot what you call them, but you see they're 2 different sizes. What you can do is you could buy these 2, and then, because you have to extend your axle no matter what. I mean, this axle has to be longer to get around this lug. So whether you cut it in half, add some stock, or, and I don't know what my friend Tom's going to do. That's why I got him the new axle. I don't know if he's going to cut it and add some, or just tool his own axle. I don't know what he's going to do, but I did. The axle's only 24 bucks, so I decided to get him an axle, and then he can, you know, decide what's the better way to go. But can you believe that shit? A brand new track, and it has this issue. I just can't believe it. And it's just this outside lug that was the issue. But I want to take this apart just to show you what I did, in case you want to do the same thing, if you're a better welder, of course. And what I did to take the space up, instead of, like, when you go on an Arctic Cat, you can't buy a longer shaft. But I did notice these are two different, you know, your slide suspension rails there, they sandwich in between there, but these are two different sizes, and when the axle's longer, well, let me take it apart and I'll show you. It's probably better explanation if I show you. Alright, this is what I ended up doing with when I originally did it. Like I said, this is just a 3/4 inch stock, you know, piece of pipe there, but or not pipe, solid stock. So the wheel. Alright, so you know, your rail goes here. Like I said, this one is longer than this one, obviously. Alright, and this one goes on the outside because your set screw, you know, that's what, when you tighten everything down. But so you put everything together, and what was happening is, you know, after this would come here, you know, it'd be here, and you put, or right about here, you put your wheel on, right, and it would hit the lug. It would hit the lug that's, you know, on the new one. So you got to extend this axle. You have to. So whether you cut it in half, add an inch, you know, in the middle there, this is just a piece of aluminum spacer that the axle runs through. But so that's why I decided to cut it here, is just because this aluminum thing would cover everything, and you know, in case it did break, it wouldn't go anywhere. But I didn't take into consideration the wheels were going to separate. I don't know why. But so, anyways, now that the axle is further out, when you extend it, you know, get your wheel further out, there's going to be too much play here. You know what I mean? Like, the axle will come out too far. So you have to extend this piece, and and it's just about a 1/2 inch. That's why I extended a 1/2 inch. I was going to get this this piece and just have, or two of these, just have, you know, the original this way, and then the new one like this, you know, just put it that way. And because these don't have you know, a hole like this one for the set screw, I mean, this is just plastic, so the other one doesn't even have, you know, so I was just going to get two of these because it's longer here, drill the hole here for the set screw to go through. But I decided not to, because I forgot why I didn't, because it'll work that way. But you still need to extend this. So what I did is I had some old idler wheels, so I cut the bearing. You know, I took the bearing out of the wheel and cut the bearing just to get the inner race out, because that's going to be the same size as this, you know, and it's going to fit. See how this has play on the 3/4 inch stock? On a 19mm, it fits perfect. There's no play. And then, so that's what I did. I ended up, after I welded it, sanded everything down, or ground everything down, put it on the machine, added this bearing here as a spacer, just to take up, because this spacer not only hits here, it also hits here on the bearing where it needs to hit, you know, because you can't have anything wider or it'll bind it. So that's what I ended up doing, putting this like this, and when you put the wheel on like that and your bolt in, this was the perfect you know, spacing on all this stuff. And I was sure, you know, of course you do this bearing on the other side, I was sure it was going to work, and it would have worked. Again, if I was a better welder, it would have worked. But if you look close, the penetration on this weld was, I'm guessing that's probably a 32nd of an inch. I mean, what I needed to do, like I said, is taper, you know, put this on a grinding wheel and just taper the shit out of it and get a deep V. So, you know, when you grind down the weld, it would have been much more penetrated. That was my only mistake. But instead of trying to do it again, you know, messing up another axle and going down that road, seems how the season is over and I don't really need this sled to be done right away, I'm just gonna send it to my friend, and he can I'll show him everything I got, and he can piece everything together and either make an axle that's longer than, you know, longer than this one, but I did get him another axle in case he wants to cut this one and just add. You can even use some of this old stock, you know, add a piece. And he does look like different metal, but I think it's stainless steel. This has got that gold yellowish look. But and that's another thing. That piece that I added in, that might have been a mistake too, because that came from Tractor Supply. Even though it was 3/4 inch and not 19 millimeter, because I was going to grind it up anyway. I didn't feel it mattered, but this stuff is probably, you know, way soft. There's probably just zinc or something. I don't even know what it is. It seemed to be welding up nice, but this is probably hardened, you know, steel, like a, it says rear wheel steel M8 times 320 M8. That's like 13 millimeter. I don't know why. Well, whatever. This is that's what I did, and that's what you have to do if you get a track and run into this situation. That's what I did. That's why I just want to make a quick video on what I did. Even though it broke, it's because my shitty ass welding. It will work, and can't believe you have to do that. But as opposed to, you know, what am I going to do? Take this back off? Like, you know, it was kind of a monkey getting this thing on there. You know, what was I going to do? Take it back off, take everything apart, box it up again. It's 50 friggin' pounds, you know, and pay for shipping, wait a month. So that's what, you know, and what are you going to do? Get another one and have the same issues? This is a Compalast track, so, you know, I don't know why the lugs are different on the outside, but they are, trust me. Anyway, that's all I got, so you're going to have to modify it. Just like the little asterisk or star said, may need modifications, which is just unbelievable, but that was the modification I needed. Just that little goddamn lug was fatter. The rest of them were fine. As you can see, they all lined up fine, except for the two outside ones, and you have to move that wheel. Unbelievable, right? Anyways, goodbye, snow. This is the last, well, last week was the last ride. I ended up, what I ended up doing was, once the axle broke, it was like 5 miles in. Fortunately, the place we were staying at had snowmobile rentals, so I had to rent this stupid skidoo that was I think it was a 600 4-stroke. It went about 55, 60, but what are you going to do when you're 5 hours away, you know? But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.